Mendoza, Argentina is one of the best regions for wine growing in the entire world. Some of the best wines come out of Mendoza, some of the best red wines, Malbecs and Bonaradas, and some of the best whites, Chardonnay, but in particular the Torrontes is wonderful. My name is Brad LaRochelle from Bodega Los Toneles. You may have met me at the Chicago National Restaurant Association, or maybe you're going to see us at one of the other wine events, or maybe you're coming to the New York Bar and Wine Show in June. I want to tell you a little bit about our family and the family wineries, tell you a little bit about Mendoza, Argentina, and tell you a lot about our lines for 2011. We've introduced some brand new wines for the U.S. market. The wine culture in Argentina goes back to 1457 when the vines were first brought over and the plantings first began. So it's got a very steep, very deep culture. It's a new world wine, but with an old world culture. Mendoza, Argentina is like an oasis in a desert. It's one of the most beautiful cities I've ever seen, and it's in a beautiful wine area. The wines we make are, of course, full-bodied. They've got a lot of minerals in them. They've got a lot of fruit in them. The alcohol contents are usually between 13 and 14%. They've got a very strong and noticeable flavor. Usually 100% varietals. Very nice. We do premium, we do reserva, we do oak, we do unoaked. So we cross the board in our wines. I want to tell you a little bit about those wines later on. If you want to know more about our vineyards, if you look on the YouTube videos or on our websites, there's a lot of videos about our vineyards and about our winemaker, the people of the wineries, our production manager at Varietal, Syrah, who's our winemaker, and they talk about how they cultivate the grapes, how they cultivate the wines, what we do to produce these award-winning wines at our bodega. The family business started over 43 years ago when Jose Millán was selling sausages out of the back of a donkey cart in Mendoza. He's grown that business, and now Jose oversees well over 100 stores, farms, supermarkets, and side businesses. One of those businesses is the bodegas. Now, the bodegas took on their own form about 10 years ago when the first winery was purchased. And in that winery, Wine Valley, just outside of Mendoza, we create some of our larger vintages. It's not really a tourable winery, it's more of a production winery. And there's videos of Wine Valley on the YouTube site. Three years ago, the Millán family bought Bodega Los Toneles. Bodega Los Toneles is an historic winery. It's founded in 1922 by brothers. It was founded at the city gates of Mendoza, so the city gates are actually on the property of the winery, making it very historic. It was named Los Toneles for the giant barrels they use. They have the largest barrels in Mendoza, so it's named Los Toneles, which is the barrels. When the Millán family bought the winery, it was still functioning, but it was functioning marginally. The scope and the goal was to renovate and reinvigorate the winery and bring it back to life while recognizing it as an historical landmark for Argentina and for Mendoza. So the architectural integrity has been kept pure. The wrought iron, the cobblestones, the stained glass make this a beautiful touring property. In addition to the building itself, the casks were refitted in epoxy. We brought in all new stainless steel equipment as well from Germany, and you'll see some oak barrels on the floor of the tour where we've got American and French oak, so we get a variety of flavors. One of the important things about the bodegas is this is a family business. In the videos you'll see my nieces, my nephew, my brother-in-law, my sister-in-law. You'll see our family running the bodega and running the businesses as they are. Hopefully you'll like our wines. I'm now going to introduce you to the 2011 varietals and the Grand Primas that we're introducing for the U.S. market. I think you'll like these wines. New for 2011, we've got the Toneles brand. This is being marketed in North America, and there will be marketing surrounding the Toneles 46 and 22 brands. Toneles 46 and Toneles 22, the numbers refer to lot numbers, barrel numbers. So these are specialized. They're typically our best wines. Toneles 46, we have Malbec and Torrontes ready for release. The Malbec is 100% Malbec. It's from Vista Flores vineyard. The soil is stony with good drainage and it's deep. It's in a very dry climate, and the valley has a wide temperature range, so you get those very strong grapes. It's all hand harvested. Fermentation's at 28 degrees centigrade.
and it's got 6 to 9 months in American and French oak. It's got 5.3 total acid, pH of 3.7, and the alcohol is 14.5. Now, Malbec, of course, is that very deep, velvety red. It's got a strong fruit, very beautiful, good with meats, good with Italian food, very strong fruit wine. Malbec has really been one of the up-and-coming wines that's really taken over the New World market. We also do my favorite, which is the Torrontes. Torrontes is grown in the Cafayette Valley. Our Torrontes, like our Malbec, has won many awards. It's 100% Torrontes. It's out of Cafayette and Salta, deep and very stony soil. And the valley, of course, is dry with the wide temperature range. Again, that small and very strong grape. The fermentation is at 10 to 12 degrees centigrade. It's manual harvested. It's got 5.8 acid, pH of 3.3. Now, our Torrontes is a very light, very lean type flavor. It's very beautiful, very aromatic, and the nose is totally different than the flavor. The Torrontes nose can be almost a linen, very floral. The flavor is very fruity, on the other hand more citrus. Very much of a summer wine. It can be very beach related. It's short of a sparkling wine, but it's got that very light and airy feel that a sparkling wine has. It's wonderful with spicy foods. Traditional whites are just with fish. This is great with fish and chicken, but it's also spicy enough that it works very well with barbecue, with beef. Very good with Thai or Indian cooking and spicy food. So this is a unique wine to try. We recommend you suggest it to your customers. If they're drinking Chardonnay, they probably will drink Torrontes and prefer it once they taste it. So it's called Torrontes. Remember, Los Toneles 46 Torrontes. Our next set of wines is the Toneles 22. The Tonel 22 brand is one step below the Tonel 46. Still an excellent wine. Let's start with the Chardonnay. Tonel 22 Chardonnay. It's 100% Chardonnay. It's from the vineyard Colonia Las Rosas in Uco Valley. Uco Valley is a premier growing region for Mendoza. The soil is deep and very stony. The climate, of course, is the dry valley climate with wide temperature ranges, making for those very strong grapes with deep roots. It's manual harvested, traditional fermentation, 10 to 12 degrees. It's got 5.6 acid, 3.3 on the pH scale. The alcohol is 13.5. It's a traditional Chardonnay, but a more robust flavor because it comes out of Argentina. And of course, the Argentine wines are known for their more robust flavors because of the climate, the difficult climate, and the minerals and the irrigation out of the Andes. Our next wine in the Tonel 22 is the Cabernet Sauvignon. It's 100% Cabernet. It's in the same valley. It's the Uco Valley, Colonia de las Rosas. The soil is sandy with good drainage. It's deep. And again, you got that very intense weather, so you've got a very intense and robust grape. Traditional fermentation at 28 degrees, manual harvest, 6 to 9 months in American and French oak. It's 5.3 acid, 3.7 on the pH. It's a traditional Cabernet, but again, it's got a more robust, more endearing flavor. The last wine in the Tonel 22 group is the Malbec. Of course, Malbec is the best-selling wine in Argentina. It's 60% of all grapes grown in Argentina are Malbec. And it's also from the Uco Valley. The climate, again, is that desert climate, very high altitude. Traditional fermentation at 25 to 27 degrees. It's aged in oak, and the acid is at 5.2, pH at 3.6. The fermentation is step fermentation in either oaks, chips, or staves. So that's our two new lines, the Tonel 46 and the Tonel 22. Both are being supported with marketing for the U.S. and North American markets, looking at Canada, Mexico, and the United States. We'll also be doing this wine in Europe as well. Next, we're going to move on to our Dos Estacas. This is a line that does very well in South America and Europe. It will not have the marketing support in North America. U.S., Canada, or Mexico will not have the marketing support, but it's still a very wonderful wine. We've got the Reserva Malbec 2008. Compare this to our Los Toneles Malbec, the 46. And we have the Torrontes as well in the reserve. You can compare that to the Tonel 46 as well. In the Dos Estacas label, we also have the varietals. We have a Malbec Varietal 2008 and a Malbec Varietal 2010. These are both excellent wines that have both won awards. They are aged in a step fermentation. That's using staves or chips, so it's not in the barrel itself. And of course, they are beautiful, wonderful wines with a deep red velvet, great with meat, great with barbecue, any kind of red dish that you're serving. Recommend a Malbec. The next wine is brand new for 2011 as well. This is a Los Toneles Varietal. We're calling it Pantone. It's got the colors in it that you can see displayed here. We do a Malbec, a Cabernet Sauvignon, Bonarada, Syrah, and Chardonnay. These are wonderful wines. We've created new packaging for the 2011 year, and especially for the North American and European market. Our Los Toneles Pantone varietals represent an incredible value and quality wine. This is a great wine to be able to serve at a table to a customer or sell to a customer in your store. They're finished well. They're all made by our master winemakers, grown in our own valleys and our own vineyards. Really very fine quality wine. Now we're going to talk about our entry-level segment. This is a very important segment for us. This is huge for restaurants, for table wines, and for retail stores. This is not a low-end wine. It's a very high-quality wine, again, grown in our own vineyards, made by our own master winemakers, but they're not aged in oak, and typically it's a little bit younger harvest. We're going to run through the varietals. There's quite a few labels, and we're going to focus just on one label here today, but there's quite a few labels available. You can even do private label in this particular group. I think it's as important to know the story of the people, the winemakers, and the farmers, as well as the wines, the bodega, and the family that owns the winery. If you look on our YouTube site, you'll see an interview and a conversation with our farmer, Walter, as we walk through the farm at Lavaje Finca. And many of the entry levels come from Finca, as well as coming from San Francisco and some of our other vineyards. I think it's very important to get a feel for how he cares for the grapes and how he cares for the vineyard, what he does, and the people that are involved. Here you'll see the entry level. You'll see the Cepas de America varietal label. We do the Cabernet Sauvignon, 100% Cabernet out of Lavaje. We do Chardonnay out of Finca in San Francisco, Lavaje. This is 100% Chardonnay as well. We do a wonderful Malbec that comes out of Finca, San Francisco, and a Torrontes coming out of Lavaje as well. These are our entry-level varietals and some of our best-selling wines. Next up is our entry-level generic wines. This is a white, red, and rosé in the Cepas de America line. We do bottles and we'll do Tetra Paks, 1 liter Tetra Paks. The bottles are very simply marketed. The wines are all grown out of our own vineyards. They're made and produced in our own wineries, mastered by our own master winemakers, and nicely finished. Very light, very fresh in the mouth, very fruity. Truly native wines. Going in the future, you'll be seeing olive oil from a factory called LaRochelle. The family's just bought LaRochelle, and they're renovating and doing the same thing we did to the bodega to bring this factory up to par, and the olive oils will be coming out in the next few months. My name is Brad. If there's anything I can do to help you or answer any questions, please email me or contact me. I'm happy to help.